All right, welcome back. We continue live right here on the Sports Call. Give us a shout here and join us at 11 on KDKA-TV. Rich Walsh in the locker room right now. He'll have post-game reaction. I'm sure we're going to hear some injury updates, stuff we have not heard because it's never revealed until the season is over. I'm sure Phil Kessel has something that was not reported. It's affected his play, and it did throughout the entire playoffs, to be honest. So we'll see if there's anything else in there, but that normally comes out of these post-game scrums after the season is over, and it is now over, as the Penguins fail in 6 games against the Washington Capitals. First time in 3 years, and like I said, Capitals are now 2-9 against the Penguins in these elimination games. Penguins lose tonight. Let's go out to Tom in Duncansville. Hey, Tom, welcome. How are you?
Good, Bob. I like your show, and I love the Penguins, but I just think there has to be some changes made here after watching this series here. They're nowhere near deep enough.
Well, theoretically on paper, the acquisitions of Riley Sheahan and Derek Brassard made you think they would be really deep down the middle, but it didn't turn out that way. And I think defensively, you know, you look at their team, what they have. They have all of their primary defensemen are on long-term contracts. Ole Mata, along with Justin Schultz, along with Brian Dumoulin, who I thought was the best Penguin tonight, and he's really gained confidence both sides. He looked like Bobby Orr flying around out there. And, of course, Chris Letang. But Letang has made a lot of mistakes this season, more than we're used to seeing. He plays a risk-reward game. He also has a no-trade clause, 12 different teams he can go to. I'm sure people will be talking about this in the offseason, but there will be change. And Jim Rutherford's not going to sit back and just wait. The core is still intact. The core is still signed. So, you know, they still have a lot. And maybe the rest will do them some good.
Right.
What would you do? You mentioned change. What would you do?
Well, I don't really know, but they need to. They didn't have it in this series.
Yeah, they didn't. You know, the thing about it, right off the bat, thanks, Tom, for the call, I thought they were really tentative. I expected the Penguins to come out and play this first period as if it was their last game, and they didn't. They only registered, I think, 7 shots on goal for the first 30 minutes of this game. They were tentative. They gave the puck away a lot. They had 8 turnovers in the first period, 8 of them. So this game could have been actually worse than 1-0, as it turns out. The one goal was a bad goal by Murray, and that seemed to be bugging him in each of the losses. That Game 3 loss where Niskanen got the one from the point, went through his glove, deflected into the net. I thought the Brett Connolly one in Washington in Game 5 was one he should have saved. And this one as well tonight. Alex Chason just put it on the net, and somehow it got by him. He should have had that all covered. But having said that, the guy is still pretty good body of work for his first 3 years in the professional league of the National Hockey League. And he's under contract. He's 23 years old. There's a lot to like about that situation. Line 1 we go. It's Todd in Hollidaysburg. Hey, Todd, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good, you?
Hey, good. Couple comments real quick, observations. I think the team chemistry, whether people will admit it or not, I think with Fleury gone and Chris Kunitz,
Cullen, Daly,
all of those
guys.
You can't replace that. I think that
true.
In the playoffs, that's even more important with the locker room. I think Marc-Andre Fleury was a big loss, even though, I mean, there was no way to keep him. I think he was a great player to have in the locker room. And you could just tell there was something missing this year. They just didn't have that magic.
Right.
They just.
Well, you said about Fleury, there was a way to keep him. They could have decided to keep him and expose Murray or trade Murray. But they weren't going to do that. And quite frankly, I don't think that's one we should second guess because it's a difficult situation to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate the call. Let's go out to line 4. That's John in Gibson. Hey, John, how are you?
Good, Bob. How you doing?
All right. What's your take?
Good. Well, yeah, Bob, I think the trade mid-season kind of turned this team around, you know, in the wrong direction. I liked Reeves. You know, I think losing Cole really hurt them defensively, and Brassard just never panned out. I don't know what happened. The chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah, it's very strange about Derek Brassard. I thought, you know, when he first came here, it would take him some time, but I thought the guy's a big game player. His resume in the playoffs says so, but he was not a factor at all. 1 goal in 11 playoff games. You would expect more from that, especially since, you know, Malkin had missed some time, Hornquist had missed some time. They needed somebody to step up, and he never quite did. However, he's under contract. He'll be here. I think if you look at their center situation, they keep everyone the way it is. It's a nice situation to be in with Crosby, Malkin, Brassard, and Riley Sheahan. They may switch up there. They may make a deal or two. I think Carl Hagelin is one of the guys. I think his contract is up, and if it is, they'll save him $4 million there. They can move on from him, even though I think Hagelin was a wonderful performer in his time here in Pittsburgh. But somebody's going to go, and they're going to make some trades as well, because Rutherford won't sit still on this.
Yeah, I just think they lost some toughness when Reeves was
Reeves, by the way,
out.
did you watch last night's game? He hadn't played all postseason, so Gerard Gallant dresses him in that game. Their fourth line was, I thought, their best line, and Reeves was on it. He led everyone with 8 hits last night. Very refreshed when he got into that game.
Yeah, I agree. I thought him and Sheehan had some nice chemistry there in January, but it didn't turn out.
You know, we know one thing every series, and they weren't going to win every Stanley Cup. So at some point, this was going to happen. Thanks, John. Appreciate the call. Line 1 we go. It's Eric in Penn Hills. Eric, thank you for watching. What's up?
Hey, Bob. Hey, I want to know how many shots on goal was there in the first throughout the game?
Not many. I mean, both were in the teens.
More shots on goal than any of the wingers.
Well, the thing about it is that's not a way the Penguins normally play. And I think, you know, it's funny. If you look back, Eric, over the last 3 years, when they won in 2016, almost every night they carried the play to the opponent. They had 45 shots a night, it seemed. And they were fresher, faster, and the other teams were looking up, trying, how do we deal with this? Last year, they closed the gap, the rest of the league, a little bit. We saw games where they weren't the better team, but they still won, figured out, experienced how to win those games. And this year, I'm a little surprised at their home record in the playoffs at 2-4. I thought, you know, you looked at this season, I thought, oh, man, home ice is important for them because they were so good in home ice. In the postseason, it didn't work that way at all. It was totally opposite. So, go figure.
No, but you know what? Hey, I'm still a Penguin fan, and I always will be. And they had a great season, and I wish them the best in the off season.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. Line 4 we go, and that would be Jerry in Hempfield. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, Bob, you're just talking about, you know, don't have enough depth or they wasn't playing good or they didn't have. I'm going to blame this on Murray. That goal that he let go overtime, that was a simple goal, straight down the line, went right through his 2 knees.
Yeah, that's called 5-hole, and that's what Kuznetsov does very well. He spreads a goalie out.
He should have blocked that. That's simple as that.
No, hey, you can't. How about the turnover once again that led to a clean breakaway? Ovechkin got him puck. The defense was behind the play. The Penguins were far too guilty of making bad defensive decisions, not only in this postseason, but throughout the course of the regular season. Too many odd man breaks, and that ultimately defined this game. They made turnover after turnover, and eventually the one killed them. You can say Murray, you know, makes that save. It changes things. Yes, he made a breakaway save earlier on Jakub Vrana, which was, again, all alone. But a goaltender is at the mercy of those kinds of shooters. Kuznetsov is very good at that.
I understand, but straight down one-on-one, it wasn't a fancy shot over his shoulder glove. It came right down, right in the middle. For a 2-time Stanley Cup goal, he should have blocked it. That was a simple block for me.
I'm not going to blame him on that one. I will blame him for the first one because Alex Chason, quite frankly, that was a goal that he needs to stop. There was nothing there. Somehow that puck squirted through him, and he needs to make that save. It was a big difference maker at the time. We're going to take a break here. We have Don, Jeff, and JR coming up next, plus one line open. If you want to jump on it, do so now at 412-575-2600 right here on Pittsburgh CW.